Welcome in. New episode of Captain and Madden Show. Hitting your earwaves for a Friday, July 18th in the year 2025. Mike Madden here on my side of things. Captain on his side. Captain, welcome aboard. How are you today?
I'm good, Mike. Are you okay with me being basically sleeveless here? Is it, sun's out, guns out? Is it too intimidating for you?
It's
to see me
it's a bit of a pipe dream, as they say. Like the good thing is, like, we don't have to intimidate our audience with your massive guns because we're not a video podcast, we're audio. But if you could see what the captain looks like today, as opposed to just hearing how mighty he is, you might be scared to death. And that's
I am practicing my Second Amendment right to bear arms.
He's bearing arms, friends. Yeah, there it is. Oh, I see. I got a double gun show there. So
yeah, well, when it's when you've had your air conditioner on for about 17 days, yeah, it's time to go, sleeveless. By
any means necessary.
It's been a warm one.
Of course, yeah. Well, that's how it is in the summertime and in the Northeast. So we expect to see a little bit more of the arms and in the flesh than usual. Just keep it at that. Like, this is a PG show. We don't need to see everything. Save some.
I'm not Winnie the Poohing it, so don't worry. I have pants on.
Good call. So we created a topic here. We're back to our often used Planet of Hate subcategory for this episode. This is the topic that we're discussing is professional sports team. Well, I shouldn't say professional sports teams, but sports teams in general who we love to hate. And that would be teams that we root against vehemently, teams that have probably broken our heart more times than we care to imagine or care to share. But we'll share a little bit of it today and let you guys know exactly how we feel about the teams in general through the history. Not every single instance, I will say, but enough. You'll get enough of a primer to understand the teams, the cities, the players, the coaches, ownership, whatever bee is in our bonnet about these teams and why it is that we, year after year, we find ourselves circling certain dates on the calendar and saying, well, this is going to be a major matchup for my fill-in-the-blank team, and this is who they're going to go up against on their way to meeting the team that I root for so vociferously, or root against, I should say, so vociferously. Does that make sense to you, Captain? Am I breaking that down right?
Makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, it's the teams that sometimes you almost get more joy out of their misery than you do when your own sports team is victorious.
Right.
Like your level of like, you could be on a 10 when this team loses, but when your team wins, you're about like a 9. It's a weird thing. It's usually reserved for teams that, like you said, are either rivals or a team that is your rival, but has also has broken your heart, and in the sports terms, not in the the love term or anything. But
right.
These are the teams that when they have either a defeat or something goes wrong, they lose a free agent, that one of their players get hurt, they want they fire a coach, the draft pick doesn't work out, whatever it is, this is when we tend to celebrate
right
just as hard for their misery than we do in our triumph or good fortune.
Well put. Very well put. So
I've been practicing it all week.
Yeah, that's listen, you could tell this is a you're taking a lot of swings in the cages at these teams. Let's not sugarcoat it here. So we start as we almost normally always start when it comes to sports topics. We'll start with Major League Baseball. Now, full transparency, I'm a New York Met fan. Captain, let folks know who you root for.
I root for the New York Yankees.
Okay. So New York sports fans, tried and true here on each side. I will volley this to your court first and allow you to begin mightily tearing a team or two a new a-hole, please.
Well,
I should say, am I allowed to say asshole? Are we allowed to curse on this?
Oh, you could totally, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this is a planet. One, we're all adults, and two,
We're all
this is
adults.
a Planet of Hate episode.
That's true, yeah. Planet of Hate episodes.
Curse away.
Explicit content warning. We are going to curse a lot. So, yes, assholes teams. Go ahead.
If you're in church and you have this on a speaker, you may want to put it to headphones.
Oh, how great would that be?
So before, oh yeah,
Oh, church.
this week's this week's homily is brought to you by the Captain and Madden.
Yeah, that's right. Off the Cuff Stuff Network is your sponsor. Pray for them.
So, baseball. So before I get into the number one team that I despise, there are other things that I do root against in baseball. Other teams. And,
Okay. All right.
I would say the newest team that's kind of, I guess, fashionable to hate against, and I'm sure you as a Met fan would agree.
Mm-hmm.
The LA Dodgers have now kind of become that team that
Oh, yeah.
either bandwagon fans are just jumping on them because they're buying players and they have an outrageous payroll, which sounds weird coming from a Yankee fan, but or you're either jumping on that bandwagon, you have an Ohtani jersey, you go to Citi Field or Yankee Stadium if they're in town or whatever,
Yeah.
or you're a regional guy, you like the Mets or the Yankees or wherever you're from, you're rooting for that team, and you despise like those fashionable teams that pop up every so often. Nothing pisses you off more than like, seeing a couple kids with like an Ohtani or a Mookie Betts jersey or something, kind of like a few years ago, everybody had Mike Trout jerseys on.
They did?
Yeah, a lot of kids.
Okay.
I mean, Trout was like the number one guy.
Yeah, I guess.
And then
you could say that.
he like didn't play baseball for like 6 years consistently.
Constantly hurt.
So Dodgers, I think now are kind of like a trendy team that either you love them or you hate them.
Mm-hmm.
I could totally understand. Like, obviously, the Met fan would not like the Dodgers because they knocked them out in the playoffs last year. The Yankee fan would not like the Dodgers because they beat them in the World Series.
That's recent.
But but I think if you're just like a true baseball fan, those trendy teams that like for some reason because they have it, like I would think when we were growing up, like the Oakland A's, the Bash Brothers were kind of like that. Out of nowhere, a lot of teams liked the Oakland A's.
Well, I was one of those kids. As I mentioned on our sports side pieces episode.
I would have totally thrown hate against you.
Okay, fair enough.
But the one thing that, besides the Dodgers, the thing that I am really tired of hearing about, and it is, at this point, I am tired of hearing about the small market team. I am tired of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I am tired of the Kansas City Royals. I am tired of like the Miami Marlins and Tampa Bay. If you can't spend more than $25 or $30 million on your whole team, sell the fucking team, sell it to some billionaire, and let them come in and spend money.
I agree.
I'm tired of hearing about, we can't compete with the Mets or the Yankees or these big. You know what? If you spend some money and you got players in there that were worth going to see, people would come out. And you know why ticket prices in New York are like, why does it cost so much to go to a Yankee game? Because they spend the money. They put 5 or 6 all-star. Unfortunately, most of them are hurt right now. But you got to have players that attract people to the ballpark. You can't be running a AAA team out there year after year after year and then complain, nobody wants to come to our stadium. Nobody, we can't compete with, the Cubs, and we can't, like, stop it. If you can't have a payroll more than 25 or whatever, I think what is Tampa's like 30 something million dollars or 40 something million dollars
It's pretty
for
low.
a whole team.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? There are a lot more Steve Cohens out there that want to, these guys that have billions of dollars, or a group of them that want to come in and buy teams, and it's almost like now, like a thing like, oh, I have a racing team, I have this, I have that. Like, somebody will come in and somebody will spend money, and it's gone on for way too long now, and I'm just kind of tired. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of, poor Tampa Bay, poor Florida, poor, Kansas City can't compete. Oh, Paul Skeens is a great pitcher. Oh, but he's never going to stay in Pittsburgh because they can't afford. Like, come on, get somebody in there that can buy. Like, you can't keep Paul Skeens. Like, it just gets ridiculous sometimes. Like, it's been going on for the strike was like 95, and it's been going on since then. We've put built-in excuses for Minnesota, for basically the AL Central, and pretty much half of the NL Central. Like, oh, you can't compete with big time. We can't compete with the LAs and the blah blah blah. It's like, then sell the team. Sell the team to somebody who's going to come in and spend money.
So this is all right. So a couple things. I think there's valid points in there. First of all, I believe that the Tampa Bay Rays are like currently like closing in on selling their team, or have at least put it on the market to sell it. So they saw the writing on the wall. All the disaster that went on from last hurricane season that demolished their rinky-dink stadium and forced them to play at Steinbrenner Field, that's kind of come back, and they realize, like, well, we were going to build something new, and now we're not going to do that. So they realize that's like a stain on them. So they're basically coming to their senses and saying, we're selling our team. Here's the catch, and this is the one thing. Like, if you've got a good farm system, you're always going to raise one or two important players that are going to come up. As you mentioned, Paul Skeens is kind of the patron saint of this right now, where you're like, he's a phenom. He's in his second year. He's potentially setting himself up for a Cy Young in that second season. He was a phenomenal rookie, and kind of like a ray of hope in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh has a beautiful ballpark. It's a top 3 ballparks. It might even be number 1 in my opinion. So they don't have problem attracting people to their stadium, and it would be so much more advantageous of them to kind of take that momentum as a tourist spot and say, well, now we can get people to come because we're investing in Paul Skeens, even though he's only going to pitch once every 5 days. That's a building block that you can say, hey, if we pump money into this, we can keep O'Neill Cruz in town. We can keep Kebron Haynes if he snaps back into it. Like the guys that we developed through our own farm system that everybody really loves and covets, it's not going to be so easy for them to slip through the cracks anymore. Herein lies the issue with it. So could they be competitive if they spent money? Yes, but they also use that sort of that's a strategic thing to them to say, all right, well, once these players get good, we'll try and trade them before a trade deadline, or we'll get rid of them without spending a lot of money on their contract, and hopefully be able to pull back either another everyday player or another haul of really good like developmental players that are going to hit our scene in another year or two. But you're trapped in that loop. You're trapped in that cycle all the time. Baltimore was trapped in that cycle for like 10 years, where it's like, all right, well, we're getting closer, but we do need to just refresh the troops and do that. And that paid off for them for a couple seasons, and they have a very good young team, although they're playing under their expectations this year. The bottom line is, like, I think the angle that you're coming from is more or less the the pity that they are sort of like they're forcing upon everybody else that roots for important, better, higher profile, big market teams. I think they're easy to ignore, and I think that's sort of like you're in an echo chamber of whining, and it's like, all right, well, that'll all be well and good. Like if you guys can get your shit together, like Detroit's gotten their shit together in the last 2 years, and Detroit's the best team in baseball right now. And a lot of that is buoyed off the back that they took their time with a lot of their prospects, but they're also not afraid to take a reach and get a Gleyber Torres when he becomes available, or get a Javi Baez and sign them to long-year deals. So they've turned the cycle, and they figured out a way to say, like, well, yeah, Detroit is still a money-making city. So we're able to pump that money into this franchise, and we're only going to get better from here. So although I agree that if you can't afford to run your team and you're going to continue to run at your base level, your lowest payroll, Major League Baseball should step in. Let some venture capitalist like a Steve Cohen, or let somebody who's got a long history of running successful, important franchises and knows how to market your franchise and keep your players in town, let them run it. But I still think eventually that those low-level teams are a low-level team for a reason, and dysfunction isn't cured by a wheelbarrow full of cash. Dysfunction is still dysfunction.
Look, as a Yankee fan, I will tell you, the late 80s, early 90s, I heard it all. Mm-hmm. Like, Yankee Stadium is a dump. The neighborhood is a demilitarized zone. It's like going to Beirut. They were drawing 15,000 people on a Saturday afternoon. Mm-hmm. You know what? When they kept some of their prospects and they filled the holes in the team with veterans that cost money, bringing in David Cohn, signing Jimmy Key, Doc and Darryl, going out and trading for Cecil Fielder. Like, then all of a sudden, they were getting 50,000 people at the same stadium on a Tuesday night against, crappy teams. Right. Because Steinbrenner came back and he invested money in the team, and he surrounded those young guys that, Jeter, Pettit, Mariano, with veteran guys that cost money. I don't understand. Like, you just said, Pittsburgh, it's a beautiful ballpark, and they have no... You know what? If you went out, and I'm not saying you have to sign Juan Soto. You don't have to give guys $800 million. Mm-hmm. But that's not saying that you can't have... Like, the Pittsburgh Pirates should be able to have a payroll of $100 to $150 million. I
agree.
And surround Reynolds and Skeens and some of the other young guys with, like, some sort of veteran talent that, like, could take the burden off these guys, mm-hmm. and maybe be a borderline playoff team or a wild card team.
Of course, yeah.
Instead of being, let's have this is great. He's he's made a second All-Star. Let's put the countdown on when is this guy going? Is it going to be the Mets that buy him? Is it going to be the Yankees that buy him? Yeah. Is it going to be the Dodgers? Like, how are you supposed to have a fan base? Like, oh, I love watching this guy, but it's only a matter of time before. Are they going to let him walk in free agency, or are they going to trade him? How are you supposed to get excited about that? So I repeatedly root against those franchises, and I enjoy their misery, because
you take joy in their sadness.
Obviously, my number one team to root against would be the Boston Red Sox. I'm a Yankee fan. Mm-hmm. There's nothing about the Red Sox that I like. Their stadium, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, baseball purists. Fenway sucks.
No, it doesn't.
Fenway is a dump.
It's great. Actually,
it sucks.
Great.
It sucks. The neighborhood is cool. Like, I like
you like everything outside of the stadium, but being inside the stadium gives you the heebie-jeebies?
It's not. It's nothing. It's just, which is nice. Like, I don't need pumped in, like, dance music every 5 seconds or whatever, but it's kind of a dump.
Best Oregon player.
My opinion.
Best Oregon player in baseball.
I thought that was a City Field guy who plays
he's
songs.
He's probably like second or third. his name escapes me. Oh, Josh Cantor. Josh Cantor is the organ player for the Red Sox. Tremendous.
So, anyway, their fans are racist.
Oh, yes. All right. Now you're cooking with gas.
Nothing pisses me off more as a Yankee fan was watching Wade Boggs and Roger Clemens win fucking World Series titles with the Yankees. I kind of got over Doc and Darryl. I was like, whatever, they're Mets. Like here. Oh, and here's the other thing: the Mets are not. I'm sorry, everybody. The Mets are not the Yankees' rival.
No.
I get it. They're in the same city.
No.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Like Juan Soto was a Yankee for 1 year. 1 fucking year. And he made it obvious to anybody with a half a brain that whoever came in with the highest bid was going to, if that was Toronto that was going to pay him the most amount of money, he'd be a Blue Jay this year.
Mm-hmm.
If the Yankees offered him $800 million and the Mets offered him $801 million, he was going to the Mets.
Yes.
So stop this whole he wanted to be a Met. He liked their farm system more. His families didn't feel welcomed at Yankee Stadium. All of that is bullshit. The Mets just offered the most amount of money. And sorry, everybody, he was a Yankee for 1 fucking year. So stop this that because Juan Soto got signed by the Mets, that now the Mets and Yankees are a rival. Now the Subway Series really has juice. Stop it.
It doesn't. They're fun games to watch if you're hanging around with fans of both teams. That really what it boils down to is you have a concentration of fans that root for both teams that are on opposite sides. Does that make it a rivalry? Hell no. That makes it a spectacle for 3 days or for 2 days or for 4 days, whatever it is. It's not built on 60 years of history. It's not, hey, they knocked us out of the playoffs 4 out of the last 5 years, or we have a losing record at their stadium and we have a winning record at ours. That's all bullshit. And that's basically the Mets and Yankees are great for business for each other because they sell out each other's stadiums, because it's hey, if I can go over to Citi Field or I can go to the Bronx and catch both of these, it's the easiest travel thing, right? Geography does not create rivalry. Rivalry is created through history of all-out wars, playoff implications, listen, if the Mets and the Yankees played each other in the World Series every year for the next 10 years, then I might start to bite on them actually being rivals. But we both know that that's not going to happen because baseball is an ever-evolving situation, and it's not necessarily built on dynasties like it might have been in the 40s or the 50s. So you don't necessarily you can't rely on that. So you're relying on 6 games during the regular season that if everything sort of it doesn't change your stature in the division standings or the wild card standings. Yeah, you may lose 3 in a row to your crosstown rivals or your crosstown opponent, I should say, but you're not necessarily throwing you're not throwing your season into a tailspin as much as you are if you're losing 3 games to the Red Sox, or in our case, if the Mets are losing 3 games to the Braves, or you're losing 3 games to the Phillies, or whoever it may be. So focus your rivalries on the teams that are a little bit more detrimental to your well-being, or that you can say, we stomp the shit out of them every time, and I don't mind, this is going to be 3 easy games, and you just sort of walk tall over them.
All right, so that's my.
Those are your baseball.
That's my baseball planet of hate.
So I'll agree with the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a thorn in our side, and I think probably for the next 10 or 15 years, that's going to be that's the main when you get to the playoffs, and even during the regular season. So there's the difference between the Yankees and the Yankee Met rivalry and what would be the Dodger rivalry. They're going to, during the regular season, they're going to see each other the same amount of times. You're only playing 6 games. But when you're trying to win a championship and you're matched up against them in your National League, for the National League pennant, if that's the team that you see year after year, or at least at some point during the playoffs, then you're saying to yourself, this is a rash that I can't be cured of until I get the antidote. And the antidote, or the medication for it, is beating that team. And of course the Mets did it in 2015, but the Dodgers were the team that knocked them out of the playoffs in 1988. And then now more recently they've been a thorn in the Mets side. So it's still like, it's that a little bit of jealousy over the fact that you've got you have an owner for the Mets and Steve Cohen, who is super happy to spend a ton of money and bring in the blue chip prospects, or the cherry on top free agent that you need to push your team over the edge and make, a more steadfast run to that World Series. The problem is that team across the country spends the same amount of money, if not more money, has more assets, and has they have the stance on top of the hill right now that everybody else is looking for. So I can understand the hatred. Can't argue with how like strategically sound they are with the way that they spend their money and how they are an attractive destination. But until they start to lose or miss playoff opportunities, you're going to always have to worry about them. So they're the most recent rival that we've had to deal with. My double-headed dragon in baseball are the Atlanta Braves and the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, with the Phillies, it really boils down to, there was a time where the Mets just had the Phillies number, and they were crushing. They would beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia. Even when they were good Phillies teams, like the Mets always had their number, and they were able to hit home runs, and they were able to get under the skin of the Philadelphia fans, the Philadelphia players, their management, everything. So they had that perennial sore spot, and I think they still kind of have that. Like, I don't think Philadelphia. I think they hate us more than anybody else in baseball, and I also think that until they beat the Mets in a significant series in the postseason, it's always going to be something that rubs them in the wrong way. So I love as a division rival. The Atlanta Braves are a totally different story. The Atlanta Braves go back to when they realigned the leagues in the 90s, and all of a sudden the Braves were in our face 12 or 13 times a year. And this is in the 90s when the Braves were on fire and they were great, and they were a perennial postseason team. World Series champs, great pitching staff, unparalleled pitching staff. And then one of the biggest pieces of shit in all of sports, Chipper Jones, he embarrassed the Mets at Shea Stadium to a point where he named one of his kids Shea because he had such success at the Mets ballpark. So when you're being held underwater and you're being taunted like that, you do develop a palatable hatred for the Atlanta Braves, and they're having an off season this year. But at some point, I keep saying it, when anybody says, "Hey, the Mets are riding high. They look good. They're battling for a division right now, but they have the horses. They can make it happen." And you look at the rest of the standings, and you're like, "Oh, the Atlanta Braves are in fourth place in the NL East," and you're always like, "The other shoe is going to drop, and the Atlanta Braves are going to catch fire, and it's just going to be a matter of time before they're right in the mix with the Mets and the Phillies." And that's for the last at least 5 to 10 years, that's been the story. Once the Nationals kind of faded out of relevancy and sold their assets off and moved their players elsewhere, the Atlanta Braves moved in as your new renewed rivalry, and they're right back in the mix. So I could go on and on about how much I hate both the Phillies and the Braves, but I think that sounds like a good place to tail off, right?
Well, not to throw salt in the wound, but it's like the Braves are having an off year. They're under 500, yet they did sweep the Mets in Atlanta and then split a 4-game series. So it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like I was actually pleasantly surprised that the Mets won, and I really thought that the end of the year last year they had the doubleheader.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, I was like, if they fucking go down and lose both but then I was like, yeah, but history would say like they're gonna go and lose both games of a doubleheader in Atlanta, because it's just like,
Yeah.
anytime that they've had any success, it's been at City or Shea Stadium.
Yeah.
No matter, I mean, Atlanta changes their baseball stadium every 3 years. No matter what stadium it is, whether it was the old launching pad or Turner Field or whatever this new one is, like, it's always just a house of nightmares for fucking Mets.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, you just gotta hope that, like, every week when you look at the standings and stuff, it's just like, just stay in fourth.
Right. Stay down there. Stay down there.
Stay down there. Don't make a trade, or don't call somebody up that, where they get into one of those, they've won 9 in a row, and look out, here comes the Braves.
Yeah, that's, you
because
gotta worry about
I
them.
would say I would like the Mets' chances a lot more if they had to go into Philly and win 2 out of 3 than if they had to go down to Atlanta and
You
win
betcha.
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Nightmare fuel.
But
Nightmare fuel.
yes, like a clown with a knife.
Let's move to let's touch on basketball for a minute or two, and I'll start this one because I don't have a lot to root against, because I don't have a rooting interest in the NBA. Never really, even the times when I was following the NBA, it was more or less like, you're following stars, or you're like, hey, I'll go to a game, I'll take a ticket, blah blah blah. I'll just root for the league more often than not. And now I just don't really, there's nobody out there that I can't bring myself to like just hating one player and then like, oh, he's been with this team for 5 years. All those guys like switch allegiances, and I tend to actually gravitate towards guys that stick with their teams rather than ones that are just like, I'll take a contract here, I'll win a ring here, I'll win a ring there. So that, like, I don't really have a dog in the fight when it comes to the NBA. But for college hoops, pay a lot more attention to college hoops. And I gotta say, kind of hate Duke. Duke's a hateable team, and Duke doesn't play like St. John's all that often during the regular season. They're not in the same conference, so it isn't like this is my rivalry that's like, dyed in the wool, like, Big East rivals left, right, and center. This is more in general for the health of college hoops. It's better when Duke is there to be the villain than it is when Duke is having an off season and they're not making the tournament, or they're not. So you always want them around, because you always want to be able to point and say, that's going to be our toughest matchup all year, or Duke's on a tear and we're going into tournament time, and how good can they get? You just want to say to yourself, let them get as good as they can get, and then watch them get knocked off by somebody that's lesser, right? They kind of have this, like, they're a Jekyll and Hyde, where, you hear in the press, like, even today, like, I was reading, there was an article, one of their players was saying, like, I think a lot of people are taking us for granted, and they're underestimating us. It's like, who the fuck is underestimating Duke? Just because you lost Cooper Flagg, like, that doesn't mean that, like, we're saying, like, well, throw in the towel, Duke's gone. Like, you also have, like, one of the best recruiting organizations in all of basketball, where you can sleepwalk into recruiting, almost every top 10 high school player that you can get. You don't have to spend a lot of NIL money, because guys are like, hey, I'm playing for Duke, I'm going to stay around. Like, we don't have to, like, open the coffers and, like, make Duke, like, spit up all this money to keep these guys in the organization and we're in the school. It's just, so they play themselves as, there's always somebody out to get us, or like, we're always going to, like, be susceptible to have a bad year. And then they'll go, like, 24-2 and get, like, a 1 seed. And it's like, all right, well, then look at the rest of their bracket. It's like, oh, they have a cakewalk into the Sweet 16. It's like, fuck, here they are again. Like, just constantly like at the top of the table. So I kind of hate them. I kind of want to, I want them to go into a peril situation where there are basketball powers, elsewhere in the country, hopefully without having to do too much damage when it comes to these transfer portals and, paying guys to like, spend a season, and then they go somewhere else or they're right into the NBA. I don't want it to be that way, but I kind of want to see a little run. I pray with both my hands where there's a little run where Duke isn't relevant. And it would be nice and humbling. I think it would be a nice reset for their program. They'd still be able to sell out, basketball mausoleum that is, down there in Cameron, North Carolina. So I don't think they're ever going to like be, boohoo, poor us. Like, we can't draw fans. They're always going to be able to do it. But let's give them a little bit of a rest period where everybody can like, see what else college basketball has to offer and not have to worry about Duke being around. So I root against them the most.
Duke, to me, are the Dallas Cowboys of college basketball.
That's a good comparison.
They had success at one time. The Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley days. They won back-to-back national championships. Coach K was, he kind of took the mantle from Bobby Knight as the best thing in college basketball. They were both at West Point. He was I guess you would say, the calmer version of Bobby Knight. Was that, he wasn't, he was disciplined. He was organized and everything, but he didn't really, he never threw a chair at an official. He didn't hit his players, all that stuff. No matter how good or bad their recruiting class is, everybody always picks Duke to win, even when they're clearly like having an off year, or this group of people that they brought in is not living up to whatever previous expectations were. But yet Duke always gets primetime games. Like you were saying, when it comes time for a tournament bid, they're always put in like an easy bracket so that like they'll at least make the Sweet 16.
Right.
And Duke is never going to have to travel to Seattle to play their like they're always going to be somewhere in the East Coast or somewhere close to
or the South. Yeah.
So to me, that's like the thing, like where if I follow college basketball a lot more than I do, I could totally understand why people do not like Duke. Right. Because no matter whether they have a top class or they don't have a top class or whatever it is, they get all the attention. When you sit there like and you're doing a bracket, everybody always picks Duke to win, even though they sucked this year. They were like, well, they lost 10 games. Like, how the hell are you picking Duke? And it's the same thing with the Cowboys. The Cowboys have not been relevant, or the Cowboys have not been good since Jimmy Johnson walked out of that building.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
But yet the Cowboys are always on national. They always get primetime games. The idiots at ESPN, there's always some asshole who picks them to go to the Super Bowl or to at least win the NFC East or represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Like, and it's like, have you looked at this fucking team? Like, they suck. Why are you picking that? Like, because they're the Dallas Cowboys. It's the same thing. And it's Duke.
But here's that's the comparison to Duke and Dallas. I see a lot of your correlations, but this is the other correlation that I'll just throw out there, and I think this is the reason why Dallas will always be on somebody's tongue. A real sports fan will say, and if you're not a Dallas fan, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They still attract, and this is like an older fan base too, the boomers that didn't get to see, and this is more or less like the people in the middle part of the country who didn't have their own teams at the time or didn't get to see, primetime pro football. They latched themselves onto the Dallas Cowboys because they were the 4:00 game on CBS. They were marketed as America's team. So if you're not really a football fan and you're just sitting down on a Sunday and saying, well, there's nothing else on because I only have 4 channels, I'm going to watch whatever football is on CBS. Oh, the Dallas Cowboys are on every week. Okay, because I'm seeing them more often, I inherit them as my team, right? So where I can see that there are smart fans that would still maybe gravitate towards it, I think there's still a lot of holdovers from that boomer generation that were basically like, I'm absorbing Dallas because I don't have anything else, and I'm putting them front and center, and I'm not going to shut up about it because there are still pundits, sports writers, people that cover it on the internet, people that cover it on TV that will beat that drum of Dallas Cowboys are just as important as anybody else when it comes to never count them out. They have to be front and center. Duke has a lot of that as well because Duke, if you look at when college basketball really burst and it became a nationally relevant sport, it was pretty much the mid 80s to the early 90s. Who happened to be one of the top teams that was being shown when ESPN had their contract with the ACC, and they're making a big deal out of Duke and North Carolina. In alphabetical order, Duke is at the top of that listing. So Duke is going to get in, and if somebody's like, all right, I want to watch college basketball, let's check it out. Okay, there's a Duke game on tonight. ESPN's got them, 2 or 3 nights a week when they're at their most popular. And not for nothing, as you said, they're like the Jimmy Johnson Cowboys of the 90s, where they're going to championships and Final Fours, and they're basically like, they're embracing being the biggest heels in sports. Yeah, people are going to go like, it's fun to watch Duke because A, I can root against them, or B, they're the only team that I think is relevant, so I'm gravitating towards that. Therefore, they're always in everybody's mouths, and sports fans that are sick and tired of it can hate on them.
I would refer to your brother if I was trying to. I wish I knew the exact year, but the one thing that always kind of bothered me about Duke was, so when the whole thing when guys were like not going to college, like the Kevin Garnett's and LeBron James and stuff were just bypassing college to go right to the NBA. They put in that stupid one and done rule.
Right.
And Coach K was like the biggest proponent of it, and was like, you can't run a basketball program like this. This is going to ruin the college basketball, all this stuff. And he was like, I'm not doing it. If a kid's telling me that he's going to play 1 year and then go to the NBA, he's not going to play Duke basketball.
Yeah.
He did that for 1 season.
Yeah.
One season. Duke had a bad team, and they got either bounced in the first or second round of the tournament. And then guess what? The next year, he was loaded with one and dones, and they were a top 10 team. They were a top 5 team, and it was just like, oh, what happened to like all that? This is going to be hard.
You're going to be here for 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
So you turned heel, and you know what? That's the part where I was like, you know what? Now I understand why everybody hates Duke.
Yeah, fuck these guys.
I can totally get it.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Right.
He's up there, on his soapbox, and then the next year he's doing the same fucking thing. So
great coach though. Great coach.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay,
My basketball hatred, the team that I root against. First, I will, if you have never listened to an episode, I am a Boston Celtic fan.
Okay.
But I will fully admit that I don't watch nearly as much NBA basketball as I used to. I do watch games here or there, and I watch the playoffs. But much like most of the players in the NBA, I take a lot of nights off watching the NBA.
Yeah, there you go.
The load management bullshit. You know what? Charles Barkley, Jordan, Bird, all those guys went out and played fucking 82 games a year.
They also had 60 knee braces on, so.
Yeah. That you would think, me being a Boston Celtic fan, that my number one team to root against would be the LA Lakers.
No.
I will admit I do not like the Lakers. But they are in LA. They're not in the same conference, and the only time really Boston and LA would meet, if any significant, is the finals.
True.
At that point, yeah, we're in the finals. Like, okay, beat LA. I get it. But throughout the year, you can't wait to the final. Like, you need a team that, like, so my team is the team I can't fucking stand. I can't stand their fans. I can't stand the players. The only thing that was somewhat good was they had a stint there where Marv Albert was their announcer.
Uh-oh.
And it's the New York Knicks. I fucking hate the Knicks.
Oh.
I loved when they were like 20 years without making the playoffs and they were a fucking joke, because in my teenage years, obviously the Celtics went through, they had a nice little run in the 80s with Bird. They had the dynasty kind of going. Len Bias, who, by all accounts probably would have been, I've heard that people compared him to the next Jordan. He dies the night of being drafted. He gets drafted by the Celtics, goes out to a party, tries cocaine for the first time, and dies of a fucking heart attack.
Loves it. Has a long night with it, though.
Parrish got old, Berger got old and hurt, McHale got old and hurt. Then they start drafting younger guys. Yeah, all right, well, Reggie Lewis looks pretty good. He drops dead in the fucking gym because he's got a heart condition, and it was not like the late 80s into the 90s was not a fun time to be a Celtic fan.
Yeah, it was downtime.
And I had to hear it from every fucking Knick fan, because they love John Starks and they love Anthony Mason and they love that fucking goon Charles Oakley, and they loved Patrick Ewing, who was a big pussy and wouldn't go in. He would shoot jump shots because he never wanted to go up against, unless it was like a weak center. That man did not get. It was Oakley that did all the dirty work. Patrick would try to shoot jump shots.
Mm-hmm.
And then these fucking idiots that are Knick fans actually thought John Starks was just as good as fucking Jordan. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
You fucking delusioned idiots. So those same people are still going to the Garden 30 years later. And they're doing the go New York, go shit. Yeah. And we got and they want, and they love themselves. They thought Tibbs was the next Pat Riley, and what's the fucking point guard? They're trying to declare him the king of New York. Brunson. Yeah. Oh, he's the most clutch player in the NBA. He's the king of New York. How can you be the king of New York? You can't be the king of anything if you don't win anything. Win. And you know what? All right, they beat the Celtics. I'll give it to them. Celtics played like shit. Tatum goes down, gets hurt. And then guess what? The New York Knicks come back in true style. They make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and choke it all away. And lose to the fucking Indiana Pacers. Yeah. That team can't lose enough. Bad things can't happen to that team more. I hope every trade, every player that they, we got Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah, he's a big pussy too, and he don't like to play physical. And he doesn't, Tibbs plays us too hard. We play too many minutes. We have to play every game. Fuck you. I hope every year Knicks fans get all riled up, like this year they're all riled up because Tatum's out. The Celtics started trading off any contract that they can because they know they're going to suck. So the Celtics are going to be bad this year. Sixers are going to be horrible. Cleveland's going to be it is set up. What's his name got hurt in the
Halliburton.
Halliburton got hurt in the playoffs, so he's out for the year. So the Pacers probably aren't going to be as good. But yet, you know what? With all that said, there will be a team. Maybe it's the Pistons. Maybe it's a team that maybe it's
Bucks.
The Nets. Milwaukee. Somebody is going to beat them in the playoffs, and they're going to be going, I don't get it. It was right there for us. We fired Tibbs, and we still got bounced in the second round because the Knicks suck. And it makes me happy. every time they lose, every time one of their guys gets hurt, every time a guy that they sign doesn't work out. I fucking love it. It makes me so happy.
Wow, there's a lot of hate spewed towards the New York Knicks. I can't really. I'm not going to argue with you, and I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to agree.
Oh, and by the way,
completely. Go ahead.
I hope Spike Lee gets fucking AIDS.
Oh, AIDS! Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
you can get cured of that now. Like there's medicine. Yeah, it's not like getting like 1983 AIDS. Like this is, come on. Probably has.
I hope. All right, fine.
He probably
I
has
hope
some like tiny disease.
Fine.
But...
I hope he gets invited to a Diddy party and finds out that he's the meat.
Oh, all right. Wow. Boy, topical. So, anyway, there's no shot that he wasn't at a Diddy party back in the day. I'm just saying, just speculating. It's not true. Strike it from the record.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know of an invitational list?
If there's no comment. If there's there's a hateability when it comes to when the Knicks are good, like they're shoved down your throat too. Again, around here, they get the back pages, they get all the coverage on the sports talk radio stations, which you shouldn't really listen to anyway. They all stink. They're all dinosaurs.
And the worst is like they sent the local news, like Channel 7 or Channel 2, will send like the beat report, not like a sports reporter. They send like the generic, whoever it is that they went from covering like a rape in Central Park. Now they're outside Madison Square Garden going, the New York Knicks fan. And they always interview like the three guys that are like drunk out of their mind go, Knicks are number one, we're going all the way.
Yeah.
Like they get that fucking guy.
I would love for you to see like coverage in Boston of the Celtics because I'm sure it's totally different. Like they're probably they're the most sane people. You just called the Boston Red Sox fans racist. So yeah, let's lay our cards on the table.
But you know what? Here's my thing. Like, those Celtic fans can walk into whatever it's called now.
TD Bank.
It's not
TD
the
Bank,
TD Bank or whatever the fuck it is, whatever Evergreen Energy or whatever fucking bank, whatever.
Yeah.
And they can look up into the rafters and they can go.
It's a little laundry.
I was alive for that championship. I was alive for that championship. I was alive for that championship. I saw that guy play. Knick fans with it. My dad told me about Dave DeBusschere.
Oh boy.
I read in a book about Willis Reed.
Oh no.
Like, come on. You know what?
Fair play. Fair play.
When you win as much as the Celtics do, you can behave like an animal. I know Celtic fans. I'm sure are just as big as douches when they're winning as they are.
Yeah. But you're one of it. Listen, they may be assholes, but there are assholes. That's what your bottom line. That's what it is.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's up in Boston. Like I can watch the games on TV, and I don't really have to.
Yeah, you're in a bubble.
I can just could just walk around with my my Celtic starter jacket
with your head held
pullover
high.
with it.
That's it.
Yes, with a lot of pride.
With the front pouch.
Yep.
Good stuff. All right. Let's move on to probably the main event, which is the NFL.
I hate every team. I even hate the team that I root against.
Yeah, root for. That might be the team that I kind of hate we're both Jet fans. We've said this on the podcast before. Long suffering, just bottom of the barrel. You talk about the last time they had anything successful, like I can look up in the rafters at Gillette Stadium and see all the rings and the accolades and all this. Yeah, what you just said that the Knicks fans should be sad about is the exact thing that the Jet fans are sad about. And we are our own worst enemy. At many times during a regular season, I will say I hate my team more than anybody else in this league. Nobody gets inside the Jets' head more than the Jets. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You could have the 2-10 Carolina Panthers at the Meadowlands, or you could have the 10-2 Kansas City Chiefs at the Meadowlands. That week, you're going to war every single time. There is no pushover. There is no layup for the New York Jets. They perennially get in their own way. They're always rebuilding. They're always turning over coaches. They're always turning over quarterbacks. They're always turning over upper management, GMs. They have the stupidest owner in the history of all sports. Woody Johnson is one of the biggest fucking idiots in it. Like a guy, we talked before about like, hey, let rich people like buy into teams. No, because Woody Johnson would buy a Major League Baseball team and he would sit there with his fucking grandkids and have them picking out roster lineups, and it would get into the press, and other cities would be in the same misery that we are. So that's one billionaire that I say fucking stay away from all sports. Just move to England and just live in England as what ambassador to, sweaty nonsense bullshit that you have. Put your stupid hat on and watch games from a distance. When he gets involved with the franchise, he ruins it just as much as anybody from the outside could. So with that being said, and stop me when you disagree with any of this.
Look, at the time of this recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
This week, the Jets re-signed Garrett Wilson to an extension.
Wide receiver.
And wide receiver Garrett Wilson, who was drafted number 10 overall about, 3 years ago? He's going into his fourth year.
Yep. Former offensive rookie of the year. Let's just point that out there.
Right. Then that same draft, they had the defensive rookie of the year, Sauce Gardner, who was drafted 4th. They signed both of those players for an extension. They'll both be here till 2030. And most Jet fans were pissed off about it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We're like, oh, now they're gonna get hurt. Now they're not. Why are we giving? He had one bad year. Why are we giving him all this money? He sucks. He's overrated.
There's no confidence.
And it's just
zero confidence points.
We're never like this team, because honestly, this team has never done anything to evoke confidence in them.
No.
Every time they start. When they're 7-4 or something like that, and people are like, hey, the Jets are like a legitimate team. Then next week they go out and they fucking lose to some team who was probably, they got their first win of the season. It's against the Jets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or, they're going good. Well, it's only a matter of time before, a couple of guys in the offensive line blow their knees out. And the next thing you know, like, we can't protect the quarterback, or whatever it is, whatever bad, if you did not think, if you sat there and just said, oh, the Jets are a bad organization, they're not cursed, it's just a bad organization, blah, blah, blah. Woody Johnson is the worst owner in sports. They get Aaron Rodgers. And 4 plays into him being a Jet, he blows his fucking Achilles out. Mm-hmm. Not the 4th game, the 4th fucking play.
Yeah.
If you don't think that, like, there's something outside that is, like, I grant you, I will be the first to say that you make your good luck if you draft right, if you hire the right coaches, if you hire the right GM. Most likely you will be a successful organization. There's just something going on. Like, to all those idiots that think, like, the NFL is scripted, like, you can't write the Jets being shitty for 50 years.
Oh no, you can. That's the most predictable part about it. It's like, all right, I'll write all these like dazzling, come from behind type teams.
People would stop believing it after. Like, people would just be like, all right, I'm not like. Yet every year we're sitting there.
Yeah.
First game of the year, we got our jersey on. We got hope. So it would be really easy to say that the team that we hate the most in the NFL is the team that we root for.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that we actively sit there and root for them to lose. I mean, at some point it does turn into, why the fuck are we going to win a game? Like, let's get a good draft pick. But it's not like week 1 we're sitting there going, all right, come on, you're going to fucking, like, let's lose to this. Like, we're not rooting for a number 1 pick like the first week. That's at least until October 1st.
No, but it's still kind of like for once, I would like to go into like, and that's the thing is like you could block it all out and say like, hey, I'm just going to reset my brain. None of the rest of the recent history matters. I'm just going to be happy that football's back. I'm rooting for my team again. Here they are, the New York Jets, and something within the first month of the season pisses you off to a point, and it's again, you want to say it's like it's predictable. It is, and there's also like. I think it's predictable because, and people laugh at it because it's so predictable, but it's also, that's what inherently bad companies do. There's just an implosion. There's like a break glass for team implosion that like gets triggered within the first month of the year where it's like, the other shoe drops until this idiot sells the team or dies or whatever happens. It's always going to be a miserable experience. And I don't care if they if they get out to a hot start. They've gotten these years. You just said it. They've gotten these years where they have these hot starts. Fuck, like 2009 and 2010, you were thinking like they're kind of a little miracle team. 2010, they started off great. Like, look what's going on with this Jets team. Like, they might be able to like become a perennial contender. And they back-to-back AFC championship games that they win in. All right, they lost, but you kind of say like, well, this is how playoff football is built, and you have to get back there again. They didn't get back there. That's the last time they've been in the playoffs.
Yeah,
2010.
It's like people talk about like, what would you do? Like, I get all the time from, what would you do if the Jets won the Super Bowl? I was like,
stop
Super
watching
Bowl,
football.
Can we get it to a fucking playoffs?
Yeah.
I would can I have 10 years where I actually have somewhat faith in whoever the coach and the GM, like, all right, like go into camp, not like, all right, well, how are we going to be the laughing stock in NFL now? Like,
yeah.
Can we go into a training camp where it's just like, all right, like we could win the division. We got to, if a couple things break here or there, or like we stay healthy, like we could be a playoff team. And then once you get to the playoff team, like anything can kind of happen from there. You know
when that was? That was last year.
Does every quarterback have to be a fucking nightmare?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like we drafted a kid because he was friends with the owner's best friend, and he made one really good throw in like a workout against no defenders. Like, based on that one throw, we drafted him with the second overall pick, and the kid played at fucking BYU.
Yeah,
yeah. He played against nobody. Is anyone surprised Zach Wilson was a bust?
No.
Darnold was the one guy that like they jumped off the boat too early on. If they would have ever like built an offensive line and put some weapons around the kid,
or put him on the bench and developed him,
whatever. Like he could have been a guy that was a quarterback for the Jets for 10 years. You know what? We made the playoffs. Like, he was there for 10 years. We made the playoffs 5 or 6 times. He had a couple of good games. Oh, blah, blah, blah. But nope, like, there's this nice shiny toy that, like, the MILF hunter or whatever that can throw the ball. Like, so we're going to get rid of Darnold to draft this fucking kid. And
yep,
it's just, they're a shit organization. They have shit ownership. There's a part of me that really likes Aaron Glenn. And I really wish that, like, honestly, I really wish that, like, I liked him as a player. He seems like he's got, like, a good head on his shoulder as a coach. I really wish he would have got hired somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, I wish he would have been the Cowboys coach, or if he would have took the Saints job or somewhere else, like, because he's going to fail here.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Because they brought him in, and guess what? All right, because the vicious cycle of let's constantly hire a rookie coach and a rookie GM at the same time. Like, bring in a GM who's done the fucking job.
Right.
Like, that, like, all right, you can have a rookie head coach if you got a guy that has built an organization before. But you can't have two guys who are like,
Oh yeah, I'm learning
on the
fly.
job.
Oh, and then we're gonna bring in a rookie offensive coordinator, and we're gonna bring in all these first time like coach like. It's gonna end horrible, and I feel bad because like I said, I like the idea that he was like a Parcells guy. He was a really good player, but he's gonna fail. He's gonna fail here, and he'll be 3 years, 3.5 years, like he'll be fired.
Of course, yeah.
And we'll be starting all fucking over again.
Yep.
And that's before he even coaches his first game. That's my feeling.
Hard to argue, and you're not getting an argument out of me.
He hasn't even gotten the training camp yet, and this is how
I know. Yeah, this is the gloomy cloud that you have over your head. Listen. Let's move away from the Jets, please. Let's move away from the Jets, and let's hate on another team or two in the NFL. What else you got on the planet of hate?
So, I would say when I was a kid, the team that I hated was the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
Yeah. Shula was a scumbag who deliberately left the tarp off the field in the A.J. Dewey game to slow down the Jets' pass rush, even though there was like the Mud Bowl, let's slow Freeman McNeil down, let's slow the pass rush down, and they win fucking cheap.
Yeah.
So it was really easy, and then they get Marino. Was pretty happy when they got destroyed against the 49ers in the Super Bowl. And I love the fact that Dan Marino fucking never won a Super Bowl in Miami. I would have preferred, I think Marino should have won a Super Bowl. He should have went to Pittsburgh, or he should have went somewhere else and won a Super Bowl. But he wanted to stay a Dolphin his life. So guess what?
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. You didn't win anything. But since Marino has left and Shula unfortunately does not walk the planet anymore, the Dolphins have been almost as shitty of an organization as the Jets have. Because when you have a quarterback who's one more hit away from basically not only not being able to play football, but probably won't be able to
use his arms and his legs.
Yeah. Let's give him a guaranteed $55 million a year contract. That makes a lot of sense. But I digress. Obviously, the hatred moved away from the Dolphins and onto the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Belichick being the coach for the Jets for an hour and a half, and then he resigns.
Fuck that.
Goes to New England.
Forever fuck that guy.
Forever fuck that guy. Forever fuck the Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And then, Belichick is such an awesome coach that he was finding all these guys that were on their way out of football, like Junior Seau and Rodney Harrison, and mysteriously they all discovered the fountain of youth playing in New England. Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't loading those guys up with roids at all. Teddy Bruschi has a brain aneurysm. Mysteriously is able to play football 8 weeks later. Yeah, I'm sure nothing nefarious was going on. I'm sure no human growth hormone or anything these guys. I'm sure were all playing clean. But let's debate for the next 3 decades about the deflating the balls. Okay, great. Let's.
They're another one where you're right. They catch a little bit of misery.
Let's forget about the fact that the fucker was taping everybody's goddamn practices.
Yeah.
And the minute that he gets caught, he doesn't win shit for another 3-4 years.
Yeah, I love the.
Let's talk about Deflategate. Please, God, let's talk about that some more.
Right, we're the victims. The league is against us. The league is out to get us. Blah blah blah. And then it's well, if you look at the turnover of Belichick players, he gets a little extra engine out of them because they're older and they know they're only on 1-year contracts, so they have to earn their keep while they're there. And it's all right, fantastic, that works. The other agents on Mr. Brady's side were all dressed in stripes and all basically swallowing whistles when you got pass interference situations or you have encroachments or whatever, and then blowing the whistle the second anybody puts a pinky on precious little tomboy. So yeah, that's the victim stuff. And that really drove me nuts. The longer into that dynasty that it evolved, and it was sort of like, well, look, the referees, they're just calling the game. Meanwhile, like any Patriot fan would like scream and yell if, well, this guy should be suspended because he hit Brady, and it's like, that's why they have to change the rules. It's like, yeah, they have to change the rules because the precious quarterbacks are the ones that are taking these hits, and the precious quarterbacks are the ones that are intended to get hit. That is the one of the rules of the game is to make sure that the other team doesn't score. So if my whole defensive strategy is to get to the quarterback, and now I can't lay hands on the quarterback because Precious Tom and subsequently baby Jesus Patrick Mahomes can't take any damage, well, somebody on the other side of that's constantly the victim of it is going to put their hand up and say, well, this is a double standard and this is bullshit.
Oh, and by the way, the tuck rule, that was a fucking fumble.
Yeah,
sorry.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it does suck that, like, you basically you couldn't touch Brady, you can't touch Mahomes, but yeah, even though I can't stand them, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson get their fucking heads ripped off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But because they're quote unquote mobile quarterbacks, like they never get a flag.
Bounce them around like pinballs, like CJ Stroud. I mean, it's because his offensive line, doesn't really do their diligence and figure out how to block anybody. CJ Stroud takes a ton of hits. The guy in who's the guy in Green Bay that got knocked out for the season? Jordan Love. It's like, all right, well, this, we're not suspending guys or calling any flagrant fouls because Jordan Love isn't the top quarterback in the league yet. So when they become the top quarterback in the league, the bubble gets built around them. So yeah, in that 2000s and the 2010s when Tommy Boy is just untouchable and his team is perennially at the top. And again, I had said this before about the Dallas Cowboys. It turned into anybody that was a casual football fan who was just like, I'll only really watch the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Guess who was always in the playoffs and the Super Bowl? You guessed it, the New England Patriots. All of a sudden, that turns a lot of like either disenfranchised, like I'm fed up with my team, I'm rooting for them now, sports fans, or it's a bunch of like young kids who are ESPN junkies who are just like, who's the person that they talk about the most? Tom Brady. Who does Tom Brady play for? New England Patriots. I'm getting a Tom Brady New England Patriots jersey, even though I live in central New Jersey or, in Brooklyn, New York, or the Bronx, New York. Like, I'm rooting for Tom Brady because I want a winner, and I don't want to have to suffer like my parents suffered, rooting for a team for 40 years, and they're not being any different from the day that you got them to now. So yeah, I mean, I think I love to root against the Patriots. I love every single time because that's a rivalry. Because if the Jets are playing well, or if the Jets have momentum on their side, it's because they've beaten the Patriots once or twice during the year. Right? But of course, they will cough that momentum up in a heartbeat because they just can't help themselves. But in the long run, you want to beat your division rivals. Miami Dolphins are lumped into the same boat. When the Jets can beat the Dolphins twice during a season, I almost feel like that's a successful season for them. I would love to be able to say, well, that doesn't mean anything because now we're a perennial playoff team and we have bigger fish to fry because we know we're going to make the playoffs every year. That's just not, that hasn't happened yet in my lifetime, and I've been rooting for them for 40 plus years. So, let's get our act together. And, see is there anybody else in the NFL? Like, I got a couple others that like, and I think it's more or less like with the NFL, they're very dynasty driven and they're very like, the hottest player in the league is the guy that we're going to pay the most attention to. So the Kansas City Chiefs for the last like 5 years, 5 years plus have been everybody's, they get a lot of attention. They get a lot of like, outside of football looks and outside of football like accolades. Listen, if you're that successful, that's wonderful. Like, great, good for you. Now I want to see you fail, and I want to see you fail spectacularly. And I will root every step of the way for you, unless I got money on you. I will root every step of the way for you to fall on your face and turn in a terrible season, and
Oh.
I want to see the decline of Patrick Mahomes. So
and you want Taylor Swift to break up with Travis Kelce.
this has nothing to do with that. That actually,
No, but I'm just saying it. That's how it gets to the point where you want somebody to come in and really fucking lay Patrick Mahomes out.
Oh yeah.
Because you're tired of seeing him getting the 15-yard penalty before these little ticky-tack.
Yeah.
He feels the pressure and he falls out. He falls down as he's going out of bounds, and the guy who tapped him.
They get a 15-yarder. Right.
Plus, here's the one thing that nobody talks about. That guy probably gets a fine during the week.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
it's great for Patrick Mahomes, who makes $50 million a year. That could be a backup defensive back who's now got to pay half of his fucking salary or whatever to an NFL fine.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you start, that jealousy kind of thing in sports where if you're particularly like me, who doesn't mind going beyond that line where you're just like, okay, this is the year, Andy Reid's got to have a heart attack one of these days. He can't keep on eating cheeseburgers every fucking minute. And he could barely walk across the field to shake hands with the coach after the game. This has to be the year that Andy, there's you can't do it anymore.
He should huff his last puff. You know what I mean? Let the man go gracefully. Just put the blanket above him and just let him, take his last breath. But
I think the Chiefs right now probably have that. You're either a Chiefs fan or you hate the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
There's no middle. Just a side note, just as I said before when we were talking about baseball, I hate to break it to everybody, the New York Giants and Jets are not rivals.
Nope.
I know they play in the same building. I know they play in the same, they're both New York that play in New Jersey, all that other shit. They're not rivals. They play each other once every 4 years. They have never met in the Super Bowl. They're probably never going to meet in the Super Bowl. They're not rivals.
And they're both miserable organizations right now, too. Just to get that out of just remember, Giants fans, you're in just of a bad situation as the Jets are. You can show your rings and you can talk about the legacy and they do things the Giants way. Right now, the Giants way is it's circling the drain just like we are.
But that's the thing. The Giants have had a bad 5-10 years, whatever.
Yeah.
They've
been in the playoffs recently enough.
If you're a Giant fan and you're like my age, you've seen the Giants win 4 Super Bowls.
Yes.
So I'm not feeling so bad for you right now.
Right.
It's you had to live with Tommy DeVito and whatever. You've had, and you let Saquon go and he goes to the Eagles and he rushes for 2,000 yards and they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I get it. It's not probably the best time to be a Giant fan, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. You've had some success.
Mm-hmm.
Your Super Bowl highlights are in color, people. But my thing is, for those people who go to a preseason Giant game and get drunk and start a fight if you're a Jet fan starting a fight with a Giant fan
you're
at a
dumb.
preseason game, you are the dumbest motherfucker I've ever met.
And it happens every year.
And people get so fired up. People were mad that they made the Giant Jet game the 3rd preseason game instead of the 2nd because that used to that's when they play all the starters. It's a fucking preseason game. We're not rivals. Fucking stop it. Grow up.
Seriously, they play the starters for 8 minutes.
Oh God, ugh. if you're getting the fact that you're in a building for preseason game anyway.
Well, God bless you. That's the time to take little kids, but
yeah, I guess. But unfortunately, it's filled with drunk people with Kurt Sohn jerseys on.
Yeah, come on.
Who want to start a fight because they're mad because Woody Johnson sucks as an owner.
Yeah, seriously. Good point.
I'm trying to think of other organizations. I mean, it's pretty easy to root against Dallas. I think we've kind of beat that.
Mm-hmm. I don't need to root against Dallas. Let somebody else do it.
No, but if you're in a sports bar and Dallas is losing a pretty big game, or if they're losing and everybody in the bar is just shitting on those 10 fucking Dallas fans, it is kind of funny.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess. I like when the Browns fail spectacularly because they're just terrible, and that's if there's one organization that's worse than the Jets organization, it's the Cleveland Browns organization. But you're sort of like laughing at it. It's like, oh, this is inevitable. They went right back to stinking, but then pity settles in, and you're sort of like, really shouldn't pick on them because if there was a fan of theirs, they could turn around and say like, well, you're rooting for the Jets. Like, how is that better? So that's always going to be the thing that drags you down in the NFL is somebody could inevitably turn around and say, wow, you're really wallowing in our misery. Look at your, going on 60 years of misery.
The only difference is like, yeah, the Jets have been in ineptitude, but like our quarterback is not raping massage therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
And
right.
we didn't give him a fully guaranteed like $200 and something million contract.
Right.
And the guy's going out there raping fucking.
When there was still money to be settled and court cases to be heard. So yeah,
that's another thing. I'm not really all that big on like those shitty teams. Like now everybody's kind of getting on the hype train for the Bears, and I'm kind of just like, I don't want to see the Bears have success before the Jets do. Like, wait till the Jets become successful, and then the Bears can be, or the Cardinals, or those other shitty organizations. Like, I don't want the Bears like winning the Central and going to the playoffs before the Jets make the playoffs.
Yeah. Don't let the Chargers get really good like for a few years before the Jets can.
I guess the other team that I wouldn't say I root against them now, although with Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback, it probably will be easier to root against them. I would say when Roethlisberger was at the
I hate the Steelers. Yeah,
they were a team that easily to root against. Not so much now that the Raper is not.
They fall ass backwards into like playoff situations every year. You think the Steelers are out of it, and then it's like, oh, week 16, like they have a chance to. If the stars align, and then guess what? First week of the playoffs, there they are in the wild card round, and it's like that's the success that I want the Jets to have, and the Steelers. I want the Jets to be that team that like accidentally made the playoffs. Like whoopsies.
I want to be on here being really pissed off that the Jets went 9-8.
Yeah, right,
and lost in the first round of the play. Like, what the fuck is going on with this organization? We're 9-8. Like,
Right. What is it going to take for us to get to that next level and to get into the semis?
20-something years. I don't like. We got to get rid of him.
Oh, I know.
I want that.
Yeah. We're jealous of them. I think that's it.
By the way, the only thing that was more disappointing than watching the Patriots win the Super Bowl or all those Super Bowls was that not once did they let Lord Junior Seau drive the bus at the Super Bowl parade.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Also, like, they never thanked the Jets in their speeches.
Yeah.
Thank you to the Jets for rolling over. Couldn't have done it without you.
Your ineptitude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting a Hall of Fame coach leave an hour and a half after hiring him.
Yeah. Your idiot playbook once again fell into our laps accidentally. So we want to thank you. Thanks for posing for that practice that we taped. Also, Miami Dolphins and the Colts, we can thank you for being fucking stupid organizations, too. All right, let's move away from the NFL. We're shitting too much on the NFL. We're getting maybe towards the end of this. NHL, to me, this is more regional than anything else because you play the teams that are close to your area more than anybody else. So I'm always going to hate and love. I love the misery of the New York Islanders. When the Islanders are, which they currently are, although maybe with these new draft picks that they got, maybe they'll show some signs of life. But I love when the Islanders are just like, their fan base is sad, when you could tell the players are miserable being there. You can tell that, like, they made a decent run, but then, like, the calendar turned to, like, I don't know, December, and they were like, well, we're done playing hockey now. I love when that happens, and the same with the Devils. Like, I think the Devils have a little bit brighter future if everybody can stay healthy and everybody's satisfied being there. But I root against – those are the teams that I root against more vociferously than anybody else. Always hated the Flyers. That's another regional thorn in our side. As a Ranger fan, I'm just saying this as a Ranger fan.
Yeah.
It's basically like I like to beat up on the fan bases that I can, maybe go and see live at their arena and like go into the misery. I used to. It's like a love-hate relationship going to the Nassau Coliseum to see a Rangers Islanders game. Figuring out like within 2 minutes when you're in there, it's like, oh, I forgot from the last time I was here. There's like one bathroom on this level, and the line starts at a half hour before the puck drops, and at some point that last person who was in line got to see the last like 2 minutes of that period, and now everybody has to get online for the bathroom, so they're going to stay there for another whole period of hockey. It was the worst situation, but those people were more grumbly and miserable, and you could overhear them just basically like writing their own suicide notes, in the concourse. So it's like, please let this organization stay as mercifully downtrodden as you can for as long in my lifetime as I can say. Like, oops, the Rangers, like, oh, they had an off year. I don't know, back to the conference finals. And then the Islanders fans being like, oh, we were going to be in the playoffs. Like all we had to do was win 4 out of our last 7 games, and then they lost all 7. And it's like, well, that happens. Or the Devils basically saying like, oh, look at the march that we were on, and all the momentum in our favor, and we made it to the first round of the playoffs, and we got swept by a team of like traveling vagabonds that just happened to assemble themselves in Florida and call the Florida Panthers their home for the last like 2 months. So yeah, I mean those are the teams that I'll beat up on the most. Nothing West Coast like gets under my skin. Nothing, I might say like that I kind of hate a team if they play the Rangers in the playoffs and they end up like beating the Rangers in the playoffs. I'll hate that team for like a season or two, but eventually I get over it. I focus my energy back on the Devils and the Isles.
Yeah, Islanders. Not only did they have to play in the worst fucking building I think ever constructed, then there was those few years where they had the really bad Gordon for the fisherman fucking jerseys.
All-time worst logo.
So those people were just miserable. I kind of felt bad for them in some way. Look, being a Devils fan, obviously, I'm always going to root against. That's a thing that I'm trying not to like. I'm trying to not be that Devil fan where, yeah, if the Devils play the Rangers, obviously, I want the Devils to win.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sitting there like if the Devils lose, 7 out of their last 10 games, I'm going to be pissed off that the Devil like. I'm not finding hope in the fact that, well, the Rangers did lose to Pittsburgh tonight. Like,
okay,
I can
right,
care.
Yeah.
Like, all right, like, let's not focus on what the Rangers are fucking doing because I want to focus on why the Devils have lost 7 out of the last 10.
That's a fair play.
Or hey, we've won 7 out of our last 10. Oh, and the Rangers lost. I don't care what the Rangers lost because the Devils just won tonight.
Right. Right.
I will say that most of the ire or hatred or whatever toward is the fact that the Devils have been a very successful organization for a real long time. They won 3 cups after obviously they lost to the Rangers in the playoffs. It is fucking annoying that there are so like I can understand if the Devils were like the Jets and everybody was Ranger fan like. But it is kind of annoying. Like every time the Devils play the Rangers in New Jersey, the building's 3/4 filled with Ranger fans. Like everybody, like you live down the shore. Why are you a fucking Rangers fan? Like you got a team in Jersey that's good. That win. Like you can't root for a Jersey team. You gotta root for the Rangers. Like and the Rangers have had moments where they've been not that good.
Oh, they've had mediocre years. I'll agree with that. They've had stretches where they're
had moments where they were buying a lot of players and then it wasn't working out.
Yeah.
So I think that comes from most of it is just more of the fact of like it gets annoying that there's so many fucking Ranger fans and that anytime you're out somewhere you're outnumbered 3-1 or 4-1.
Yeah.
when you're in Jersey. I think that's the part where it just gets annoying.
Well, before you go any further, the reason that is the case is it's legacy more than anything, right? I grew up, my family were, because before, what was it, 1982, when the Devils moved from Colorado to New Jersey?
Yeah.
Before that,
I get
anybody that was around here, anybody that lived in New Jersey, if you liked hockey, your parents liked hockey, they were Ranger fans. Maybe occasionally you run into somebody that was an Islander fan, but it was really like they were dying the wall. So your fan base of Devils fans were more or less like they were created from people that were probably in their maybe their 50s at that time.
They were Islander fans who didn't want to travel out to Long Island anymore.
Yeah.
They finally had a hockey team in Jersey, and they were like, you know what, I'm going to root for the Devils.
Right.
And it was it took them a long time to be successful, but they eventually got there.
But I think the Devils built their fan base later, so therefore there's a lot of people that grew up as Ranger fans, and their families became Ranger fans, and it's basically like that's their calling card more than it is with Devils fans, from my perspective.
Still annoying.
Okay.
It's still annoying for it to be a home game and you're hearing "Let's Go Ranger" chants in your own building.
Oh well, yeah. Well,
so,
buy more tickets.
I would say that if you're going to take the Rangers off, like the teams that I probably in hockey that I like, I love the fact that Philadelphia just sucks right now. Philadelphia, I hate the entire city, but the Flyers, I fucking hate Flyer fans. They're another one that that travel up the turnpike for games, and they're obnoxious. They're like, ugh. I still always have a thing against Pittsburgh because they tanked better and they ended up with Mario Lemieux and we ended up with Kurt Muller. Plus, they were like a trendy team, like in the late 80s, early 90s, like all of a sudden everybody was wearing like Pittsburgh Penguin jerseys.
Yeah. Success breeds imitators.
Capitals suck. And I guess the team that I actually like dread the most is the Boston Bruins. It seems like the Devils could be on a streak, and if they got to go to Boston, it's like, all right, if they won if they're on a 7-game unbeaten streak or whatever, blah blah, it's like well, they're fucking losing. Boston always has our fucking number, and they're just a team that I can't fucking stand.
They make you miserable.
But yeah. So okay. I would. It's like, look, I get it. Like the Devils and the Hurricanes have played past couple of. It's hard for me to take the Carolina Hurricane fan serious. Talkie.
Well, find one. That's
it's the same thing with the Florida Panthers have won back-to-back Stanley Cup. They're Florida Panthers. They play fucking I'm not taking them serious.
All right. Well,
you know what? If I'm gonna go to a game, I'm sorry, and I know Chuck has the whole I'm going to see the Maple Leafs. I'm going to see the Canadians. The Red Wings. I'm gonna get fired up for Chicago, Jersey game. I'm not gonna get fired up for the Vegas fucking Knights.
No, nobody wants to see them.
Come on.
No. But I don't hate that. That's the thing. Is you don't hate them to the level that you're happy when they don't do well, or you're jealous when they have success and your team doesn't have success.
If the LA Kings went out and became like the Dodgers and bought and just started buying players and all this and whatever, and they went on this would I really hate the Kings? Probably not.
No.
Whereas the Dodgers or the Rams or somebody or the Raiders or something the Raiders not playing Vegas, but they would be easier to kind of screw those guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, you're not going to get really fired up over if the Avalanche become a dynasty for the next 5 or 6 years.
True.
Whereas if the Washington Capitals become or the Bruins or the Flyers,
somebody local that beats you 6 times during the year or more, and then beat you in the playoffs, it stings more when the local team beats you in the playoffs too. That I will definitely concede to.
So, do you have any? I mean, we kind of talked the 4 major sports. I mean, is there like a? I know you're a big golf guy. Is there like a guy? Is there a golfer that you love rooting against? Or?
So it used to be Ricky Fowler. I hated Ricky Fowler because when he first hit the tour, he was very good. Kind of a young phenom, scrappy player, like, kind of a Southern boy aesthetic. Then he became Mr. Endorsement, so he's got a deal with Puma, and he lost a lot of the nuance to his game, like, disappeared. So he just became like this joke guy who's just like, oh, good, he's going to wear orange again. And it's like, I liked rooting against him for a while there. That kind of cooled off because he's not very good. And it's not as much fun when somebody misses the cut week after week. And it's like, well, if I can't root against you for 4 days, now I'm going to start to feel a little sympathy for you. Then the Netflix documentary Full Swing came out, and they featured Ricky. I think in the second, I think it was the second season that they featured him, and you kind of got like into like what went wrong with his game, and he's breaking it down. He's talking about it, how he like after a while he reconnected with his old swing coach, who kind of set his head straight, and it's like, oh, now I have like a newfound respect for him, so I can't really hate him week after week. So I have to, like, again, begrudgingly, like, not root for him, but basically like choose to ignore him more than anything. And he still hasn't really like proven himself to be like back in the swing of things. Like, he may make a couple more cuts, but like he's kind of irrelevant. So for a while it was him. I think right now, like, any of the live guys that play in major tournaments, they're the villains in my book, unless I have money on them. They're the villains in my book because they're outsiders. They're invaders for those 4 tournaments during the year. And the biggest mouth out of them when they first started to defect over was Phil Mickelson, who used to be this beloved left-handed, like, kind of maverick on the tour. So I've turned my attention whenever Phil plays to like just sort of criticize him and, kind of point out how he's like, he's overweight, he's slowing down, he's not as good tee to green anymore. There eventually will be somebody that like I really hate, either A, because they're that good and they're inevitable, or that they are costing me money time after time, and it's like, all right, fuck this guy. I'm done with. I'm turning my back on this guy, and I'm vehemently rooting against him because they might have cost me money. So that's how I operate in the golf space. What about you're a big soccer person. Anybody in whether it's MLS or international soccer? Players are one thing. I'm sure like there's a laundry list of players that you can't stand. But let's just go beyond. Let's start to torpedo some franchises.
Before I get into the soccer, I want to admit something that I've never been able to admit for a very long time. I couldn't stand Tiger Woods.
Okay.
But at the time, he was like the top of sport, like, and I felt like if I came out and I said I can't stand Tiger Woods, like that I was going to be labeled racist.
Racist, yeah, of course, yeah.
Because he had black dad and Chinese or Asian mom.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't, like, he was a robot. He was a nerd. He there was no personality. Like,
Captain,
there was no person.
I'll take that personally.
His post match or whatever you want to call it, like interviews, like they tried to joke, like people, he would go on, like, he would win whatever, the U.S. Open, and then they put him on Leno, and he was like, you might as well have interviewed a fucking bag of balls because he had no fucking, there was nothing there. It was like, bro, like, lighten up a little bit, show up. I get up at 3:30 in the
Right.
morning and I practice on my swing, and it was just like couldn't fucking stand the guy. Like as much as like Jeter never really gave you anything in interviews, he did have a personality, and
Charisma.
he could go on like like a David Letterman and kind of joke around with Letterman a little bit.
Yeah.
But like after a game, like he's never gonna like sit there and be like, well, yeah, no, tonight we could have won if the bullpen didn't blow it,
Right.
or
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Like he was never going to be that guy.
He's not
But, like,
controversial.
but yeah, there was nothing to Tiger. And then when all this bad shit started coming out, I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, I guess I can. It's easy for me now to be like, yeah, Tiger sucks. I can't stand, because now you're not racist. Now he's just a bad guy. He's doing pills and cheating on his wife and
See,
flipping cars and all this other shit. It's easier to root against him.
I think that humanized him, and I always marveled at how well he played and the command that he had over courses, and how he could, he's one of the greatest fourth day players in PGA history. Could come back from any deficit. He was a wonder to be seen. But I did know a lot of people that would vehemently root against him, and there would be counter arguments like, how can you root against him, and how could you and it's like, I got my reasons. I just whether he's robotic, smug, inevitable, there's always any myriad of reasons. Or hey, my guy is Phil, and I want to root for Phil, or I want to root for Bubba Watson, or whatever it is. There was always he always had some sort of diametric rival that was playing just as well at the same time as him. So you could always pick somebody else to be like, all right, if you sound like a real big Tiger guy, here's my guy on this side, and and that's the fun of it. The individual sports kind of always have, the guy that's at the top of it, somebody is always looking for him to be taken down a peg. And I, in my opinion, he was taken down a peg by his personal life, and that sort of that leveled him out. And eventually, that was the downfall of his career. Injuries were another big factor, but I think he was psychologically battered by all of his bad doings off the course. All sort of tumbled at the time that they did. So yeah, I mean, if you never liked Tiger or you rooted against Tiger, I can see that. That makes sense to me.
But you had asked about soccer.
Mm-hmm.
For a while there, obviously, I think the team that everybody loved, you were either a fan of theirs or you loved to hate them, was Manchester United.
Fan.
They have pretty much kind of self-exploded and have not really been much relevant in the past almost decade.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easy. It's not. It's like now. It's almost like you're just piling dirt on top of the grave. Like if you're gonna. I think Man City has kind of picked up that mantle of a team that you're either a fan of theirs or you can't stand because they buy everybody. They win.
They used to be scrappy, and then they became.
Yeah, it was one of those they hadn't won in so long. They hadn't won the Premier League in since 67, and when they won it, it was great. All these people were crying in the stands, and then now it's just Pep is so smug, and the players that they buy when they do lose, it's they're annoyed. How dare the refs call a penalty? I guess it's inevitable when you have you become whatever, a dynasty or some successful. I guess it's just easy to root against those teams.
Yeah.
I don't really follow. I think La Liga is kind of a joke, in my opinion. So, yeah, Barcelona and Real Madrid, they do the same thing where they buy a lot of players and stuff. But the rest of that league, it's just there's two top teams. Maybe two or three other teams that are somewhat, and then it's just a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
It's not competitive.
Right.
Domestically, MLS, obviously, I do root for the New York Red Bulls. There are a lot of times where, just like the Jets, I find myself being just annoyed with the Red Bulls as I am there is a saying that's so Metro that goes back to when they were the Metro Stars. They, when they are good, they always seem to. Some guy gets a red card out of nowhere in a playoff game, or they do something stupid and shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
So, I guess the rivalry right now with them would be Philadelphia Union have had their number for the past like 6-7 years. They are meeting in a U.S. Open game in August. So of course, if the Red Bulls would win, they would go to the semifinals.
Okay. I like that.
But it's almost like the game's in Philadelphia, and we haven't won there in 7 years.
Oh,
so it's kind of like, well, great. It's one of those things where sometimes you do get a little annoyed that, like, there's a salary cap, but somehow the rules seem to get bent or changed for teams like LA, whether it's the Galaxy or LAFC. Now Miami is the new team that, like, now they're buying players left and right, where it's kind of like, well, how are they fitting these guys under the cap? How are they,
Yeah, of course.
That type of stuff. But it's more of jealousy more than anything else, because
free market jealousy. That's what
for a team that's owned by a conglomerate fucking energy drink that's worth billions of dollars.
Yeah.
They don't really spend a lot of money on their MLS franchise. So yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of like the thing with MLS is that it's easy to root against the teams that buy like all the, it gets celebrated when, like, some guy decides to finally stop playing in Europe and come over here, and it's like, oh, really great, you got him, but he's 34 years old, and you're just, you're the retirement league thing is, grab somebody when they're like 27 years old, and then you can be really happy about it. But the names sell,
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Guys got, but yeah. Other than that, I can't think of any. Like, I really don't follow the WNBA, or I'm not a NASCAR guy, so I don't have I can't stand that racing team or something like that. So, yeah, that's about it.
I think I think that would bring.
I think we did. I think we laid down enough hatred.
Yeah, let's. We can. The capsule is coming to pick us up from the planet of hate. We can return to our normal, humble, jovial selves now, and breathe some neutral air once again. But eventually, we will make it back to the planet of hate. Don't worry, fans of the show. You know where to find us if we've got a bug up our arse about a particular topic. Speaking of topics, moving on to next week's topic, we're going back to the dream teams, a tried and true concept, and this will be spoiler alert for any of you guys that listen to Dropkick Basement, the pro wrestling podcast that's on the Off the Cuff Stuff Network as well. Coming up on a week from Monday, not this Monday, but the Monday after, there is a Dream Team episode on Dropkick Basement about hardcore and deathmatch wrestlers, which you don't want to miss. But within that same time frame, next Friday, we'll drop our episode where we will craft the dream team of celebrity product spokespeople. So think about that. I know there's a lot. Like whether they're just a voice actor, whether they're the poster boy or the poster girl for this particular product, somebody who you grew up watching and loving as the spokesman for product A, whatever it may be, your Bob Euchers, your John Maddens, your
Hey, if you were somebody who loved Jim Palmer in his jockey underwear,
this
you're
could be
gonna
your
have
episode.
to listen to next week to see if whether or not he made
Penny
the Dream
Hardaway.
Team.
Yeah, so
no, a little Penny will make the
Little Penny.
Big Penny will not.
Little Penny. So yeah, that will be our topic next week. We're back in Dream Team territory. So yeah, that'll wrap it up. Captain, any last thoughts or wishes of hate? Do you need to shake any more hate out of you?
No, I think that star has been blown up. Han and Luke are going back to get their medals and not give one to Chewie for some reason.
He's very hairy. He would get hair all over it. You know that.
Yeah, but hey, he was the co-pilot. Like him, he should have got one.
He should have. He should have. Medals aside, for the captain, we should give you a medal for participation in this particular episode. For the captain, this is Mike Madden. We hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you next week.
I'm Mike.
This is the song for living recklessly.